All right, y'all. Week 15 is here. Thank y'all for tuning back in. It's your boy G along with Alec. Quick shout out to Dre Waves. He's the artist side of the DMV doing his thing. I met him recently. He's really been killing it. So show him love. Been blowing up on TikTok. If you guys are on TikTok, definitely doing his thing. So shout out to him there. But now we're back doing our stuff. NFL things are on the way. I got a lot going on. To be honest, I'm gonna take this off real quick. I'll try to hold my hair down. I just twisted it, as y'all can see. But yeah, excited for the next episode. Like we sort of talk about a lot of stuff going on with all the LA squads, with the Rams and Chargers, as well as the Ravens and beyond. So good things to get into. Excited for it all. Our ads are below and all of that. Subscribe to the show and all of that. Appreciate all the love, and let's get into it, man. Yep. So we are back. Another great week of football has gone down. Excited to talk about it all. And as we do, starting with our LA squads, definitely good things going on with the Chargers. And first things first with them, Alec, I told you about Herbert, man. Herbert's better than Tua, man. I think he proved his point this last game versus them, beating them 23-17 in their game last week. What do you think about the performance of Herbert and the squad versus the Dolphins?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was ever a question for me necessarily, like as far as how the Tua Herbert.
We had the more valuable question last week. I thought you said Tua. That's why I brought that up, but maybe not.
More valuable.
Last week we had that question last week, and you said Tua was more valuable. I thought maybe not.
I don't know. I don't even remember the specific. I have thought that Herbert is a better like individual quarterback. Like Tua for sure has a better situation. Is putting up MVP level numbers, but these last couple weeks have been kind of the exposing of
we see the difference.
Maybe he's a system QB type thing. So, but yeah, I think Herbert for sure put to bed the Emmanuel Acho social media quarterback narrative thing with
also,
him.
Real quick, just to know, I want to come back to that system quarterback discussion in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll come back to it later too in the him zone as well. But yeah, no, I thought it made it clear for people who were having that debate, like that Herbert is the better like individual QB with that matchup. And it was kind of surprising that Tua struggled to the extent that he did against a Chargers defense that has been struggling this year. But yeah, I think first and foremost, it just kind of put to bed that debate.
Yeah, correct. I fully agree with that. I was happy to see a performance from the Chargers, who are a team that are now, I think they're still just outside the playoffs. They're 8th in the AFC from what I saw the latest playoff picture update. But it looks like they, whatever how the tiebreakers break, could very well get that 7th spot. And the sky's the limit from there because of the talent they have there. So I'm excited for the Chargers and what they have going on. And yeah, definitely thought that we saw the difference between the two teams at the quarterback position this last week. And I was glad to see how the Chargers got it done. So yeah, exciting things there. I guess with them sitting with the Chargers, anything else in regards to the playoff push that stands out to you?
I still don't really have like a lot of faith in them to make it just because of what we've seen like in their recent history coming down the stretch. But it's the 7th spot seems very much up for grabs between them and the Jets and the Pats. So yeah, I mean we'll see. Like we said, the Jets kind of have a tough road. Chargers look like they have an opportunity to make it, but it's going to be close.
It's close. I'll say this: of the three, the team that most needs to get that spot is the Chargers. I think the team with the highest expectations of the three. We didn't expect the Jets to be in this position. We expect the Patriots to be in this position. Yeah, but we did have high hope for the Chargers.
The Chargers winning the division before.
Yeah, exactly. So if they don't get this, I think it definitely would be a failure on their part. So they need to continue to build on this momentum they've gained in recent weeks and capitalize and get that spot. So I'm excited to see from them, and yeah, just looking forward to how they play all together. So good stuff going on there. The other LA squad, the Rams, have found some light, I guess it seems.
That's where I thought you were going to start us off.
No, I'll go there now with Baker Mayfield We talked right before their game last week and didn't expect much from his performance, getting their last minute pretty much. They straight off the plane onto the field pretty much. And went and got that last minute victory versus the Raiders on Thursday night, which was a miraculous one, and people had a lot of praise for him. I want to ask this though, in watching the game, did you watch the game?
Yeah.
All right, I'm putting my hater cap on.
Okay.
Was that win more of Baker's success or the Raiders being the Raiders still?
Okay. Whatever question you asked me, I was gonna say that felt like more of an indictment on how bad the Raiders were. But
yeah, there were a lot of and again, the hater cap is on at this point, so it is what it is. There were a lot of folks that were saying, "Oh, Baker's found a new home, and Baker's not here, and he has found new life in LA, and he had the post-game interview, and people were all showering him with praise and all this stuff." And I was like, let's not forget that the Raiders are just god awful. I'm like, let's not forget the opponent and who blew that lead. So as much as it was a great moment, and we do want to applaud him because, as we said, he hopped right off the plane onto the field and did play off in the last minute. It wasn't necessarily a complete game. They just took advantage. That last drive, which was a great miraculous drive, they took advantage of because the Raiders didn't capitalize on the woes that the Rams had themselves. So to me, it was much more of another Raiders collapse than a miraculous Baker win. And then to that, there are a lot of folks saying that Baker now could apply pressure to Matt Stafford and things of that nature. I can't go that far still. So that's the last of my hater segment, I guess. The hater cap is now off. I'll let you go from there. But I was very surprised by the reaction to that game and how much of a flip folks have already now done on Baker just after one performance last week. So yeah, that was all. I'm done. I'm done with it now.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm actually I'm willing to give him a lot more praise than you are, actually, because of, like you noted, like he got basically 48 hours and didn't really he got like 20 snaps in practice. Yeah.
I guess I'm saying I give him praise in that regard, but is he now the next sure backup for the Rams of the future? Is he going to be the replacement for Matt Stafford? Is that what we're saying? Because that's where everybody's jumping now.
Let me cook.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
I'm not like veering far off from what we discussed last episode, where I feel like his ceiling is like a Ryan Tannehill type thing, where he could be like an elite game manager, like him or Jimmy Garoppolo or something like that. Like, I don't think he's this guy that puts you like over the top at QB. I think from what we've seen, even like his first stint, because he had 2 good seasons in Cleveland. One was like his rookie season, and then he had a bad year, and then he had a good, I think it was 2020. I think he can be kind of like a little bit of a floor raiser. And I don't know what necessarily it is, but like he does have like this competitive edge, and that's not stats. That's not something you can necessarily analyze, but he does like kind of keep you in games. Like he has like a fight to him. I don't know what necessarily it is, but he's not horrible. He's a competent QB, but he like with Odell, like he couldn't get him the ball consistently, and like so it's really hard for me to nail down. Like I think he's very much like a C level QB. So like that's why I think he can be like a game manager type guy, but I don't think he can be a guy that puts you over the top.
What confuses me then is that it appeared when he was in Cleveland that team was a quarterback away from being an elite squad. They had the defense was set, the run game was set, the line was still good, all the things were there. They had Odell at the time, as we noted, and all of that. If they had a quarterback to just get the guys the ball, they could have made a real push against a lot of other teams in the AFC. With the Panthers, while there were a few more deficiencies, it also seemed like they were another team that, as we see now, they have a solid running game. They have McCaffrey before they even had now. They have a pretty good defense now. Their lines, one of the better lines in the league. They have weapons on the outside with DJ Moore and Marshall. They were another squad that essentially was another quarterback away, and Baker was there and could have got those guys in better position. So I don't know what the difference is between them and the Rams and why, again, it's only one game, but why he's able to play good for the Rams but couldn't put it together for the other two squads. I can't fully say it's coaching because, as I already said, these teams already look pretty good now without him in the building. So it's like what has now changed that he was on teams that need a quarterback and couldn't elevate them as they hoped, but now is on this Rams squad, and for at least one game looks like he has found the place he wants to be.
Yeah, I really don't know what it is, like, because this felt like a game where they should have got blasted by the Raiders. And like we said, like, part of that is a major indictment on the Raiders for not taking care of business and their mishaps. And Derek Carr was truly putrid. Like, I'll get to him in the hip zone as well too.
Correct.
But I like, it was short week, Thursday game, of course, but that should have been more of a detriment to Baker, who only had 2 days of preparation and 20 snaps in practice. So, like, maybe part of it is like he does a little bit better, like, off script, that kind of thing. Like some of that Johnny Manziel type of player, but he doesn't have like the scrambling aspect that he did either.
Right.
So I don't know what it is. Like, just give him the white boy moxie tag or whatever he's got.
And again, it's like some people like to call guys like that. It's like he's a gamer. You just got to put him in the game and let him figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, he was in plenty of games before this and didn't do any of that. So it's like I don't know why it took him.
It's confusing.
I don't know why it took him to be on his last leg. We were saying he's gonna be out of the league if he doesn't work out in LA, just for that game. And then he comes on and does that, and now he's found a new home in X, Y, and Z. So
people said, like, it's an opportunity for Sean McVay as well to, like, prove that he kind of can be like a QB whisperer as far as
I guess
how
so.
he is with his offensive play calling.
I guess it's a comfort thing and that type of stuff. But
it did seem scheme wise that they kind of got him comfortable, like, rolling out of the pocket and making, like, easier throws, and, like, not making him have to make a whole lot of, like, tough decisions, and just giving him a level of comfort in a new offense. So maybe there's something to that. That, like, Matt Rule and the Panthers clearly, like, Matt Rule got fired, so, and that's basically who Baker had while he was playing for like 3 games or whatever. So maybe there's something to that as far as the offensive play calling and the coaching as well. And maybe that can elevate Baker with Sean McVay being a Super Bowl winning head coach. So maybe it's more credit to McVay than
I guess so. Baker, I guess I'll do that. I'll tip the cap to McVay and salute him for doing that. And for I guess reviving Baker's career for a week at least, and we'll see how things go from there. I'm just very confused by the performance, and I guess leaning to what I said. Though I've already said my stance on it, I'll ask you: can Baker's performance the rest of this season make Matt Stafford expendable?
At best, I see him as a bridge guy. Like I said, I still don't see him as a guy that, like, takes you over the top. Like. He's no better than a Jared Goff was there. Jared Goff was great for the Rams, like getting them to the Super Bowl. It didn't get them over the hump, though. So, like, I think he would at best make them a playoff team that gets bounced in the first or second round kind of thing. So
even though I've kind of said my point, I guess just to directly answer again to the question, I don't – the issue is that I don't think the Rams need a bridge quarterback right now. They need a win-now guy. So – Baker coming in and being like, oh, I can carry you guys into the next era or whatever, however you want to describe it, to your point about being the bridge guy. I don't think that's what they need at the QB position. They need a guy that can come in and get the job done. Matt Stafford, while he may have only a few years left, is a guy in position to take them back to the Super Bowl as they hope. So we'll see.
Because of Stafford's injury and potentially missing all of next year too, I think it is definitely like a life raft of some sorts if Baker can be a stopgap guy, like, for them while Stafford may not play. He may end up retiring. Like, we don't know yet. And it's not a definite that they get the quarterback for the future. So it could be a blessing in disguise as far as getting the bridge guy right now, who you signed off waivers in week 13 or whatever. Like, it could just have worked out beautifully for them, and then Sean McVay finds a spark there. But I don't see it like as the quarterback of the future guy for Baker.
Agreed. Yeah. So we'll see how the Rams handle that. Definitely some interesting things going on in LA with both the Rams and Chargers. So definitely for all our LA folks, keep your eyes on what's going on with our football squads, because it's surely entertaining one way or another. It's fun to follow. So good stuff there. And then lastly, as we like to do, talk about our my Ravens squad. The Ravens beat the Steelers, held off the Steelers. We're up early on them. They're up, I think it was 16-3 or whatever that was, and held off the Steelers from a comeback as they tried to. A 116-14. So they stayed atop the AFC North. They're 9-4 now. They survived the game without Lamar. With Lamar out, he still may be out another week or two, it seems. But yeah, definitely glad that we got some wins on the board without him there. So I will say this though, to the point of Lamar, as great as it was on the Super Bowl that we got the win. Watching the game, you saw clearly that the team needed Lamar. So to your point about the Rams and how when Baker got in, they dumbed down the scheme. They made it real simple for him. Hey, roll out and throw it to him. Roll it the other way, throw it to him. There's gonna be a streak down the sideline, just throw it to him and keep it simple. When they had Tyler Huntley in and when they had Anthony Brown in, who stepped in, when Tyler Huntley got hurt as well. They somewhat tried to maintain the same offense, but that offense, again, the scheme is not perfect by any means. So it still was very difficult for that team to really separate as we would have hoped they would do. So to the point about holding off, they had to fight hard to hold them off, because the offense many times was not getting getting momentum as desired. I think there was even a moment, I forgot when it was, I think it might have been third quarter, Marcus Peters was yelling at Tyler Huntley, I think, about something because they weren't making any progress down the field. So that team, the scheme just continues to be the issue to me, as I continue to point out, and hopefully Lamar gets back soon to I guess mask some of the issues that we have there. So any thoughts on what the Ravens have going on right now?
No, I didn't watch any of this game. Wouldn't have dreamed of it. It didn't seem like a good matchup, but I mean, glad that the Ravens pulled it off. I don't know if that answers any questions for you as far as like last week we talked about like for Tyler Huntley like winning that Steelers game, like whether or not that would like kind of check the box for him.
If he looked good, it would have, but the team not looking, the offense didn't look good, so. I put on the note, I'm like, Lamar needs to get back expeditiously. Like,
absolutely.
Tyler Huntley cannot fill that void as folks like to claim that he can. So I'm still all in on Lamar.
Okay. But I'm still a little concerned about Mark Andrews too, but maybe that's just a Lamar thing. Maybe Lamar being back in scheme fixes that.
It's a Lamar thing. It's a scheme thing. Many fans there's clips now of Ravens fans breaking down film. The new age of fans is very in depth with their analysis and stuff now too. Being on Ravens Twitter and all this stuff, I've seen fans posting screenshots of why are we running 4 outs on one side of the short side of the field, and there's a cluster of guys over there, and we took a guy make a throw. Why do we have guys crossing and bumping into each other and things of the nature? It's like things are just not meshing and spaced out as need be. So there's plenty of issues going on there, and Mark Andrews is doing his best in the midst of that. And hopefully Lamar can get back soon to, I guess, clear some of that up. So we'll see how things go going forward.
It doesn't look like Lamar's going to play this week, I don't think.
No, I said 3 weeks originally, so that seems like he's still on track to be that. And we'll see how things continue to go. So hopefully we can hold off again. I think Tyler Huntley now is questionable himself because he has his own injury in the game, and we had to bring in the third string, whoever I think Anthony Brown was his name. So hopefully he can hold down the fort if need be. But it's going to be a tough couple of weeks without Lamar here. So we'll see how it all goes. But that's really it for our individual breakdown stuff. Definitely some good things going on across the board for the teams that we follow. I'm excited to talk about it all and looking forward to how the season unfolds with all those guys. But now going on to the rest of our Week 14 stuff here at the Hem Zone. A lot of good stuff went on again this week. A lot of fun things to get into. And Alec, I'll let you start off as usual with your not MVP. Who's not MVP of Week 14?
Russell Wilson actually had a decent game this week. It wasn't exceptional, but he He got some touchdowns on the board.
It was worthy of not being on the list, I think.
The segment's still sponsored by Russell.
Yeah.
But number one on here, I have Tua. Like I said earlier, he's not beating the system QB allegations.
Correct.
He had 10 of 28, 145 yards. And people were saying after the game, it was like shocking that he had 10 completions because it didn't look like it if you were watching the game.
Correct.
I hesitated to put him on here last week because the 49ers defense I view as the best in the league.
I had him on here though. I told y'all.
You did. But I at like 2 straight weeks, like you're going on here immediately because this was a team that I felt like you could exploit as well in the Chargers defense, and they really struggled. And maybe a little bit of that was, I mean, Staley's more of a defensive minded guy, and maybe that was a little bit of figuring out some of McDaniel's scheme, which a lot of teams haven't to this point.
Right.
But yeah, Tua looked bad. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He looked bad in that game. So he's number one on here. He's probably the not MVP of the week.
I'm fine with that.
I don't know if you had any other comments about him.
No. I was glad that you had him on here and you said all that needed to be said. So I'm glad you're on board. Welcome aboard.
Okay. Number 2 on here, I had Derek Carr. We talked about that Raiders game. He was awful. That one interception, he kind of like floated up there into the end zone for anyone to grab if they wanted it.
Nasty.
He was 11 for 20, so barely over 50% completion, 137 yards, 2 picks. Josh Jacobs was doing all he could, but that passing game was brutal against a Rams defense that is missing a lot of guys as well, too.
It was funny. It was like 2 weeks ago, we were saying Derek Carr might have saved his career in Vegas, and now we're back to reality. So I'll ask you right now again, it's the Derek Carr era coming to an end in Vegas.
Just stop calling it the Derek Carr era.
It's an era. It's been like 7 years.
I think he's around number 15 QB in the league, so they're fine. You can do worse, but you can do better. I don't know that they're have Super Bowl aspirations right now, so
with
that's
Devontae, you're supposed to.
What is that?
With Devontae there, you're supposed to have Super Bowl aspirations.
You're supposed to. I don't know that QB is the number one issue for them to fix though, because like I think we've felt like he could play that Jimmy G type role on a team and get them to a Super Bowl. So like I think more so it's the defense they got to address. But yeah, and they also got hit with the injury bug this year too. But that was a brutal game for Derek Carr individually.
Agreed.
I got Brady on here. I hesitated with Brady just because I mean he has obviously the resume to not. We know he's him like over the course of his career.
Yeah,
but he's been struggling this year for sure. I'm not sure that he's necessarily washed, but he has been missing throws that he typically would have made.
He's not washed. He's 45. Go sit down. Go sit down somewhere.
True. He's missing throws that he typically like would have made in previous seasons, and struggled again. Like again, he played who I believe is the best defense. He played the 49ers at San Francisco. Had 253, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, but they got thoroughly dominated by the 49ers. And he got outplayed by Brock Purdy. So, he has to be on not him this week. I don't feel great about it, but he hasn't been playing like Tom Brady of recent years this year. It's been a struggle for the Bucks. And then the Giants I have on here as a collective. That downward spiral we predicted a couple weeks ago. They got thoroughly dominated by the Eagles. It wasn't really close at any point in this game.
Yep.
It just feels like they were pretenders. It was a good story to start the year, but it's not gonna finish out that way.
Back to life, back to reality for the
Giants. Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel bad, but they really don't have any like offensive playmakers outside of Saquon. So it's kind of surprising that they've done so well to this point, but it's a tough road to end the season. And I think the other teams in their division are all good. So it's gonna be rough.
Agreed.
Yep.
Oh, that's all of them. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll add 2 more. Your favorite, Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Versus Goff. Had to mention that one.
Okay.
And then Trubisky versus the Ravens. They had every opportunity against the Ravens to take advantage of them and steal that win however they could have. And he just kept messing up.
There's a few other QBs who I don't have on here who I just like never viewed as good. So I
that's
didn't
fine.
acknowledge them.
But yeah,
like,
just watching that game. Well, they tried. We like tried low key to like give them like, y'all here. You want the win? Like, you're at home. Have your moment. And Trubisky was like, no, you guys got it. Please. by all means. So yeah, it was bad to see from him. And you see why Pickett, when healthy, takes his spot. So and even Pickett hasn't been great either. But I guess that's the indictment to Trubisky there. So we'll see how they handle that going forward. But yeah, wanted to mention those two. So tough things there. But
Deshaun could have been on here again this week too. But
say again.
I said Deshaun could have been on here again this week too. But
it's rust. We'll give him that. He got like 2 more weeks of rust, and then the jig is up. So we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, to the top of your list, I agree. That Tua, I think if there's one pick, I wanted to mention him because there were MVP hopes and all that kind of stuff, and he does not seem like he's that guy anymore right now. So
these last 2 proven weeks, he has failed miserably. So.
Very, very bad. So yeah, I'm with you there. So good stuff there. Going on to my things real quick. Best play. First off, had to mention that Baker Mayfield touchdown to Van Jefferson.
That was a good throw too. I forgot to mention that.
It was a good throw. Wanted to mention that and give him his props in that regard. Though we can point to, like I said earlier, can point to all the Raiders' woes that led to the moment and all of that. In that final play when the play needed to be made, Baker did deliver there. So do want
shout out Van Jefferson.
Shout out to Van Jefferson as well. He has stepped up and delivered as people may have hoped. With other folks out of rotation right now due to injury and all that, so salute to him. And then my favorite throw of the weekend was from the Bengals game. Burrow threw a backside post Jamar Chase ran a backside post like 25 yards out, and he was double covered. And when he ran the route, Jamar saw he was double covered, so he wasn't really looking. So he kind of ran the route, sold it real good. And Joe Burrow still threw the ball and kind of snuck it in between the both of them. And Jamar Turner was like, oh, he just caught it in his lap in the end zone. And it was great just because it didn't seem like Jamar even expected it with how he was pressed. But Joe saw an angle and fit it in, and there we have it. So,
Joe's him.
Joe's him like that. And see things where they may not even be there and made a great throw there that I wanted to give credit to. So salute to him in that regard. And then to a trick play in the same game.
Okay.
To Trent Irwin, the flea flicker definitely was a cool one. So salute to him in that. Another one that was good. Mahomes doing more Mahomes stuff.
He just
went around. He did the flip. He like pushed it to McKinnon. And McKinnon ran for like 50 yards into the end zone, scampered in there. So that was great. And the last one that was, or two of them that were great. Russell Wilson from that same game dropped back and was trying to find somebody. He was making his read, whatever. Was ready to throw the ball, and Willie Gay came up and tipped the ball out the air. And then not only that, he tipped it, he caught it, was running back, stiff-armed Russ into the ground. And then ran for the end zone. Russ it was a tough look. It was bad. Just the whole
way. It went all uphill after that, though.
It did go up after that, but just that one play was nasty. Just seeing how he got just punked the whole way through. Salute to Willie Gay for that one. And then another one that was crazy, as we all saw from that Dolphins Chargers game. Jeff Wilson got stripped, and everybody's trying to find the ball. And Tyreek Hill was like, "Oh, I got it!" And just ran around like 60 yards and snuck it through the end zone. So that was great stuff there. So salute to him to that. Moving on to best celebration. I only saw one really this week that kind of stood out. I mean, I missed a few admittedly because I was working in things, but one that stood out was a flea flicker to Trent Irwin. Trent Irwin got in the end zone, did like an Irish dance, something like that. He was doing, I guess that's something he's been doing since a kid or whatever. So he's brought into the NFL. That's his thing. I don't know if he's actually Irish, so I won't speculate, but whatever. He did his dance, and
I never heard of him before he caught that pass. So.
Right. So I've heard of him. Salute to the heart legend for folks out here that know about him. So salute to him for getting the end zone, doing his thing there. That's best celebration, I guess. And then lastly for me, best pregame fits. DK Metcalf had a nice one. He had like a pink and white. It was like a down jacket, one of the long, like not trench coat, but trench coat adjacent type jacket that was real nice, red, pink and white, as well as some like silver trousers and some Prada high top sneakers that were cool. Marco Wilson had a nice suit. It was like a green cardigan with a white suit top, black dress shorts, and some loafers on that were real cool. So salute to him for that one. And then lastly, Christian Kirk, who's been pretty decent with the Jags going up and down in their season. He's been doing good. He had a off-white cardigan that was real nice, with some leather pants and some black Jordans on that all came together real well. So guys are putting on it again this week. No Amiri for the second week in a row. So guys, I guess have heard the noise and have adjusted accordingly. So salute to them for that. And yeah, so some good stuff there. So good things in my regard. And then back to you, Alec, who is our MVP on the positive side? Who's the MVP of Week 14?
Yeah, started off with a surprising performance from the Jaguars, but Evan Ingram had 11 catches for 162 and 2 touchdowns. He was feasting against that Titans secondary, which is very vulnerable. And then Trevor Lawrence, his QB, 368, 3 touchdowns. He's been having a really good season after that stretch of maybe 3-4 games in the middle.
They got real bad. They dropped in their rankings from top 5 to mid 20s or something like that, and now they're looking decent again. So salute to him for
they've been a roller coaster as a team, but Trevor Lawrence as a QB has been pretty solid down this latest stretch. So that was another impressive performance from him. And then number 3, I got Miles Sanders. He had 144 rushing and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, the Eagles dominated the Giants from start to finish, and he was a major part of that. Their rushing game they're probably the best rushing game in the league this year, between what Hurts is doing at the QB position and what Miles Sanders is doing. He was dominant, and he told people not to draft him in fantasy, but if you did, you're happy because he's been balling. Justin Jefferson, they did lose the game, but he had 223 yards, which is kind of nuts.
Gotta give credit where it's due. Understood.
11 catches, but they did lose to the Lions as we predicted. And then Jerry Jeudy also lost, but this is a game that he has never had in his career. He kind of struggled to get into the end zone, but he had 3 of them in this one, and 8 catches for 73. But 3 touchdowns is big, and they almost pulled off the upset against the Chiefs, but couldn't quite get Mahomes there.
I was not to that extent every week, but we expected him to be a type guy like that once he got into the league. So you see that he's finally had a moment like that at least. Means that player still can be there, and the sky's the limit now going forward. So hopefully he can maintain something like that going forward. Yeah.
But I'll give it to Ingram. Actually, tight ends don't usually get a whole lot of love. It's been rough for tight ends this year.
God.
But he had a wide receiver 1 type day as a tight end. So I'm going to give it to Evan Ingram here.
Absolutely. I agree with that because it caught me off guard as well. Before the game, fantasy folks, I was debating him or Dolchich, and I actually went Dolchich. So I had 45 points on my bench that I just wasted because I didn't realize I didn't think Evan Ingram would go off like that. So to see his emergence has been great. So salute to him for being a big part of that Jags offense as they turn things around there. So good stuff there. So I'm agreeing with you there. That's it for the Hymn Zone this week. Surely will be a lot of fun stuff going forward. But the last thing of the episode, as always, our quick picks. Week 15 is here. We're here on Thursday today, so we're here right before the Niners and Seahawks game, which we'll talk about first. But it's going to be a lot of good games this weekend. Excited to talk about it all. So let's jump into it. Week 15 is going to be a great one. I have questions as always now as I mix in that we'll talk about also. And it's going to be fun to see how things pan out. Week 15 quick picks Thursday night, as we just mentioned, Niners at Seahawks. I get the spread, so skip the spreads. Niners at Seahawks. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Niners. I think Purdy's playing. He was questionable, but I believe he's playing. And I think he's a decent backup. And this Niners team is top 3 in the league for me still, even with Jimmy G being out. Seahawks defense has been really poor recently. They still have figured out ways to win games, but the defense has been really porous. I'm gonna go with the Niners here. Yeah.
The Niners are the obvious answer, but for some reason, I feel like maybe because it's a short week. I think the Seahawks got Walker back, who was out, I think, for a game or was hobbled a little bit. They say he's for sure playing tonight.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Seahawks in surprising upset at home. Purdy not being able to handle the 12th man there in Seattle. I think the Seahawks will somehow pull off the upset even against this stellar Niners defense. So I'm gonna go Seahawks there and see how that goes.
Okay.
But the question I will ask though, seeing how they've bounced between quarterbacks and seeing what they've done with the offense and all things going on with the Niners, is Kyle Shanahan Coach of the Year this year?
I'll say no, only because I think it's Nick Sirianni, but
Okay.
he's probably like right there in the conversation for it for sure.
Yeah, I think
Sirianni
it's
with him only having one loss.
Yeah, 1A, 1B type thing. I think Sirianni was there. I think Sirianni might be my preseason pick. So yeah, I think either one of those guys are very much in contention for that. And yeah, I could see how people might say Shanahan's a better argument, seeing how he's battled between quarterbacks as he's done and still stay afloat as he has. So yeah, go either way. And I'll say yes just for the sake of it. Moving on, Sunday, Colts at Vikings. Who you got there?
This should be the Vikings. I'll stick with the Vikings here.
I'm gonna go Vikings as well, and I'll ask this. It's gonna be a fun matchup, at least somewhat out of the backfield. So better performance, Jonathan Taylor or Dalvin Cook.
Both of them have kind of underperformed what our expectations would be of them. I'll say Dalvin just because of game script. Like, I think the Colts are going to need to throw more. But, yeah, I'll go Dalvin.
The Colts need to throw more, but just Saturday, all he knows is running the ball. So I think he's going to just feed Jonathan Taylor all night long and however he can. So, yeah, I'm going to go with JT there. Even though they actually have found some guys on offense, they have found Pierce, so things back in the lineup.
Yeah.
I think he's on that tight end. I forgot his name. It's not Ali Cox. It's the other guy.
Vikings secondary is terrible.
Yeah,
like I said, that's why
it's very possible.
But
Jonathan Taylor being the main piece of that offense, I think they're going to want to make sure he beats first before the offense. What other guys do. So I'm going to go JT there. Moving on, Ravens at Browns. Who you got there?
This one's rough. I'm gonna say the Browns, but Deshaun has not looked great. Yeah, I'll say the Browns though.
I'm gonna go with my Ravens. I definitely could see how the Browns could steal this one, as they are on the upswing, as they're trying to shake the rust off of Deshaun and things, and the Ravens are just trying to fight for wins right now with Lamar out. So I see it, but I think the defense for the Ravens squad is good enough to hold off Deshaun there, and we could put up just enough points. Maybe just it's a Justin Tucker game. He puts up 6 field goals and we win, winning that way. But I think the Ravens find a way to get it done, even in Cleveland. So good stuff there. And I'll ask this, which is an interesting question: with Lamar out right now, seeing how the offense struggles without Lamar, and him having his contract still not signed yet, should Lamar actually hold out for the rest of the season?
No. I mean, I don't know if he should. I feel like him as a competitor, he wouldn't want to. But like I said in previous episodes, I feel like he should want out of Baltimore, just because of the pieces that they've put around him, and I feel like he deserves better, and how they've kind of been yanking his chain with the contract thing. So, but I feel like he as a competitor wants to win, wants to get a Super Bowl, so he's gonna want to get back as soon as he can.
For the sake of our future, actually, that's weird because we're in a win now spot. So if he comes back and plays good now, we're in the playoffs. Anything's possible. I think Lamar has shown that he is not afraid of any of these other teams in our conference, and that though there are some juggernauts there, that he could put up a good enough fight that with the units that we have, it's very possible that we can steal some wins, and who knows what happens there. So being in a win now spot, maybe not. But for contract wise, I would say, hey, I kind of treat myself now. I don't want to have a Kyler Murray situation where I get hurt before I get signed. He actually already signed his contract. Let me not risk this money. I'm gonna sit out, and y'all can see what life was like without me the rest of this year, and it'll prove why I deserve the $300 million that I was asking for before the season. And y'all can decide after y'all lose in the first round or whatever if you want to do that or not. So contractually, yeah, I say yes. But to your point as well, as a competitor, seeing the opportunity that could be there and the situation that the team is in, I say no. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. So interesting things there. Moving on, Dolphins at Bills. Who you got there?
This one kind of a toss up to me
And I
too.
think that's actually Saturday, so I might have got the
Yeah,
order wrong.
it
So
might be.
yeah,
Yeah, that might be Saturday game actually. Yeah, it's kind of a toss up. They're kind of two teams in similar spots that like they've been good, but they have holes that we can see. Like the
hmm
cracks are kind of starting to show for both
correct.
teams. Um, Bills defense is still good, but it's really not as good as it's been. I know they have some injuries, and obviously Bond's done for the year too now, but
Right.
it hasn't been as stout as it has been in recent years. But in that cold, I feel like Tua may struggle as once again.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I'll lean. Slight lean Bills. Wouldn't be shocked either way, but I'll go Bills.
Because it's in Buffalo, I think the Bills get it done. But as you said as well, it could go either way. But yeah, I'm gonna go Bills there. Another question. As you said, both teams are cracks starting to show, and they're trying to figure things out and stay afloat. Better Super Bowl chances right now: Dolphins or Bills.
Yeah. I will say Bills because I mean, as you said, we talked about like ultimately a lot of the blame goes on the quarterback and the praise goes on the quarterback. Ultimately, I think Josh Allen's a better QB than Tua is. So I think with both of them having their individual or their team struggles, I trust Josh a little bit more in a playoff scenario than Tua. So I'm going to go with the Bills there.
Okay. I guess using your own point against you, you mentioned a few weeks ago that without Vaughn, that this team is not that the Bills are not going to be Super Bowl contenders for real. So seeing that the Dolphins are still healthy, they just are
So I
not
don't think they
playing
can win
well.
it. Yeah.
Seeing that they aren't playing, seeing that they are healthy but just not playing well, there's still a chance that they could flip the switch again and get back on track. So seeing that I say the Dolphins, even with Tua being there, and what we said about Tua, the Bills and what you've mentioned about that team, and then the holes that are there that could be to their detriment. I think the Dolphins have a better chance still to make a bigger push. So we'll see how that plays out. But fun to see either way. So moving on, Eagles at Bears. Who you got in that one?
Got the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, I wish the Eagles and Cowboys were playing this week with the stuff
Exactly
on there. But yeah, I mean, there's a clear talent gap there, so I'm gonna go with the Eagles. Like, I guess it's potential for a trap game, but it seems like they're trying to stay focused on the Bears first too. So I'm gonna go with the Eagles here.
I'm going Eagles as well. And then I guess it's actually kind of a two-part question, and it's funny how it's going to play. But what's this? So first off, was Micah Parsons right about Jalen Hurts?
I don't think he was necessarily like trying to disrespect him, to be honest. Like the full comments, like everyone saw the clip where he's like, "Is it the team or is it Jalen?"
Right.
But like he was saying, like he thinks it's both. Like Jalen has been great in the system that they have, and they also have a great system with great weapons and not really many holes anywhere. So I think he was right personally. But I mean, I can see the Eagles taking it as disrespect and using it as fuel, like as bulletin board material. But yeah, I didn't really disagree with anything Micah Parsons said.
I guess just from the clip that we saw, and you saw the full statement, so I guess my apologies on that. But to the idea of Jalen just being a system quarterback, I say no, because we've also seen his growth each year as he developed into the guy that we see today. So while yes, he has the system in place, there's now talent around him that definitely he benefits from. I think he still has to make the throws that he's done. We talked about, I think last week against the Titans, the ball he dropped on AJ Brown and things of that nature, and how he's maneuvering in this offense. So yeah, I think while there is a good system there, him and his elevation definitely is beyond what the system is put in place. So he's not just a system quarterback. He can be moved around to other teams as well and be just as good. So yeah, I want to tip the cap to him as well in that regard and say no, Micah was wrong. He's not just a system quarterback. And the ironic part is
definitely, to clarify, I don't think he's just a system quarterback, but I think he benefits from having a team that's completely,
of course,
stacked across the board, really. But yeah, he's shown growth from year to year. Each year, like completion percentage has gone up. I think he's up to like 68% now. Like he's definitely shown growth, like as a passer, which people had questions about, and he's got the dual threat and the rushing ability. So no, I think he could be successful in a lot of different teams and a lot of different scenarios, but I think it just accentuates it that he is with the Eagles as well. So
correct. So yeah, good stuff there. And as I said, the ironic part of this 2-part question is now this: is Jalen Hurts MVP right now?
I think right now he has to be, like, before this last week, I would have said Mahomes, but just after a 3-interception game from Mahomes, while he still did get the win and still get 300 plus yards, the 3 picks hurts him, and you can't really afford to have a 3-pick type of game when you're in the MVP race and you are splitting hairs between guys.
Correct.
So I think, and they had a dominant performance against the Giants. I don't think that really changes much as far as like voting goes, but they did. The Eagles did dominate the Giants, and Hurts played well. And he only has 3 turnovers or 3 interceptions, 5 turnovers on the year. So he's done a great job of taking care of the ball. There's for sure arguments for both. Like, I wouldn't be mad at either, but I think just after that last week, like, Hurts has a slight edge on Mahomes right now.
Yeah, I say he is as well. Yeah, I think I'll say that last week as well. But yeah, I think that Jalen being the quarterback on the best team right now, as he has, and seeing what Mahomes has done, as you said, yeah, I think Jalen has a nod at the moment. So salute to him for that. Moving on with our picks, Lions at Jets. Who you got there?
That's a good game. Goff has struggled on the road. That's the one thing that makes me question it.
Kind of a must win for both.
Yeah. I'll say if Mike White plays, give me the Jets. If it's Zach Wilson, give me the Lions.
I agree. I think, and I'm pretty sure they said that Mike White is out. They're going to be activating potentially Zach Wilson.
He was taking shots against.
Yeah. He was getting tore up. It was bad. So with that being the case, I'm going with the Lions, who have been impressive on their own. So they could win this game either way. But yeah, for sure, if Mike White is out, I'm leaning that way. Yeah, I won't ask a question about that one, to be honest. I'll move on from there. Okay. Next team, Steelers at Panthers. Who you got there?
Kind of nasty game, but the Panthers have been okay of late. Decent defense. I think I'm gonna go with the Panthers here. Steelers, especially if they got Trubisky starting. Mason Rudolph making some noise about wanting to play too, which is scary if you're a Pittsburgh team. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Panthers here.
I'm going Panthers as well. And then I actually surprisingly have 2 questions, and they're both about QBs. Okay. One for the Steelers. Seeing how the season has went, the Steelers drafting Pickett was a mistake. Yes or no?
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this before. That's hard to say. I'll say no. I don't think it was a mistake. I don't think he's the guy that they necessarily thought he was going to be immediately. I think he still can be a decent QB. But like I think they could still draft someone else too. So like I don't know that it's necessarily like a full whiff. Like he's had flashes. So
yeah, I guess seeing how he isn't the biggest improvement from Trubisky, even when he's playing. Yes, he's a rookie and has to find his way. There were hopes that he was going to be in and be the clear guy, and he's never shown that he was the clear guy. So with that being the case, and still may having to draft another quarterback this upcoming season, they could have used that draft pick on Pickett on somebody else that could have benefited elsewhere, as they had Trubisky as the bridge that they already had before the draft. So yeah, we'll see how that plays. They kind of took the bait on Pickett being the Pittsburgh quarterback in college, and the hometown kid and quarterback when we need a quarterback, and it all fell in line. But really, he was not. He has not been as hoped. So it potentially has been a mistake so far. But we'll see how they handle it going forward. And on the other side, as I kind of mentioned earlier with the Panthers are a quarterback away from being a legit playoff team. Yes or no?
Yes, because they play in a really bad division too. Like it won't take much for them to eclipse the Buccaneers. I think they're like 1 game behind them right now. Yeah, Bucks 6-7, they're 5-8. So the way the Bucks have been playing, like if they had better QB play, I think they could have won some more of these games. So yeah, I would say so. We've yet to see like DJ Moore with a good QB. We think he can, because he was a 1,000-yard receiver even with Uh, I'm blanking on who the QB was when he had those years. I'm not sure if it was
Darnold. Was that
Arnold or Cam.
Cam? I forgot who was before that.
But it was guys. Either if it was Cam, he wasn't in his prime, and if it was
Right.
Darnold, he's not good. So he had 1,000-yard seasons with mid level QBs. So it would be nice to see him with a good QB. But yeah, they have a solid running game, decent defense. So yeah, I mean, with a good QB, I think they could be a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree. They have a lot of pieces that are still there, even with McCaffrey out the building. And now they have draft capital that they could definitely capitalize on going next offseason and all of that. So I think they're in a great spot. They didn't go full rebuild, which was great, and have still shown that they have a lot of bright spots on that squad, and just need a quarterback to get guys the ball as needed to really take the next step. So yeah, I was very excited to see what goes on in Carolina. Next up on the quick picks,
it might have been Bridgewater.
I think so. But yeah, moving on, quick picks. Chiefs at Texans. Who you got there?
Yeah, I got the Chiefs. I mean, I guess I got to be careful because Texans always beat the Cowboys last week.
Yeah, they can put a fight at least. They're still an NFL team. They're not complete scrubs.
Put up some fight against the Eagles too on that Thursday game they had.
Right.
But yeah, the Chiefs should win this handily.
I agree. Of course, going with the Chiefs there. And then a quick question, I guess. Odell is missing piece in Kansas City.
The missing piece? No. He could be a helpful piece, but there's also rumors that he may not play at all this year now.
Well, he said he wanted to wait to the playoffs to play, and he was just going to come in and play the playoffs. Like he was just, I don't know. That was a horrible quote, in my opinion, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't care what he has to say at this point anymore. Like,
it is falling apart very quickly.
Once he's signed to a team, we can evaluate, but there's questions about the health of his knees. So, I don't think. I think he would be a helpful piece if they were to get him, but more so what they need is a piece on the defensive end, because Mahomes, we can see that Mahomes can make it work on the offensive end with Kelsey and a bunch of guys who are speedy to catch the ball. So, and Juju's been fine too as their wide receiver one. So he'd be helpful, but I think the defense more so needs a piece than the offense for the Chiefs.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think, I don't know if we call him fool's gold, because I do like Odell still and think he could have he still has career left in him. But yeah, I don't think he's a missing piece for anybody anymore. So we'll see how he does going forward. I wasn't too happy with how things have gone within the last few weeks. It went from all the hype all season long, wait till somebody gets Odell, and then when it's time to sign him, it's like, oh, his knee's bad, and now he's saying himself, like, I just kind of want to come back for the playoffs, and I'll play the playoffs, and I'll see you guys then. And things of that nature. It just hasn't looked good as we've now gotten to the point where he could have been needed. So yeah, we'll just see how it plays out for him going forward. So is what it is. Moving on, Falcons at Saints. Who you got in that one?
Falcons at Saints. Desmond Ridder getting the start.
Correct.
So that should be interesting to see. That's a big unknown. I'm gonna go with the Saints here, just because that Falcons defense has been vulnerable to the pass a lot, and I picked up Andy Dalton in our fantasy league just for the Olave stack because I got Olave, but so I'm hopeful that they get the passing game going. But I'm gonna go with the Saints here. I mean, both teams have been shaky at best.
Both teams have been shaky. Both teams are vulnerable. Tying to your point about the Falcons being vulnerable, the Saints have been vulnerable as well, as we've seen. I think the Falcons coming off a bye, I think, have set up Desmond to have a good first game, and against the Saints has great opportunity to do so. I think he will. So I'm going to go with the Falcons actually in this one. Moving on, Cowboys at Jags. Who you got in that one?
I'm going to go with the Cowboys. Jags been playing well.
Jags going to put a good fight.
Cowboys got a little bit of a wake-up call, I think, last week. Like, you can't take your foot off the gas. So. No. Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity to prove that with the Jags looking decent again. They could really press on them and show they're not to be played around with. So yeah, interesting to see how that plays out. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go Cowboys in that. So yeah, fun things there. And then the question for the Cowboys, signing Hilton, T.Y. Hilton was actually the right move for the Cowboys.
if there's a needle that like the needle did not move at all. Like
Right.
the needle's as still as it could be for me. Yeah. T.Y. Hilton does not move me at all. Like the last couple years, basically just struggled with injury. He was good when he was healthy and younger, but yeah,
that's what
I don't
confuses
even
me
know if
about.
he like gets on the field consistently for them. So,
And I know Odell had other things going on in regards to wanting to wait to the playoffs and things like that. So it's like, okay, if that's a worry plus the injury and all that stuff, they're going to go sign a younger, healthier guy. They signed a guy who's in the same boat as Odell without the accolades. Like T.Y.'s been good, but hasn't had the same peaks as Odell has had. Right. Had the same injury woes pretty much. Has had the same knee issues and things, but in and out of lineups, has barely played the last few years. So they went with another injury guy. I think Jerry Jones had quotes about Odell's knee being a big worry. They went and signed another guy with the same type of woes, but I guess who's ready to play now rather than the postseason. So that's the difference there, and they probably demanded less of a contract. So seeing that was interesting with all the Odell hype that went on prior to it. So so be it. And then lastly, I'll ask this as well with this game. The Jags are actually good or not? Well, yes or no? Like, what's the truth about the Jags squad right now?
I don't know. Like, they're scrappy. They have potential. Like, I think they're like a year or two away from like being a playoff team. But like Trevor Lawrence starting to figure some things out at QB. Christian Kirk has been decent as a wide receiver 1, but I think he's best slotted as a 2 guy. So they get a wide receiver 1 in there. They traded for Calvin Ridley, so maybe they're perfectly fine next year with.
They've had him stashed the whole time, which was a great ad. So I think he can come back and be himself again.
Ingram shown flashes at tight end. The defense, they just had a first round pick who they drafted, and Josh Allen on that side is good as well. So they definitely have pieces. They're just young, and I think they have a good coach in Doug Peterson. So I think they're a year or two away from being a real competitive team in this league. So I'm going to say no right now. But as we see, like, they can win in some tough situations.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Technically no, but they're still worth watching. So I'll be tuned into this Cowboys-Jags game. It's going to be a good one. Moving on, I probably won't be watching Cardinals at Broncos. Who you got there?
Yeah. I'll go Broncos. The only thing is if Russ plays or not, because it could have potentially both Russ and Kyler out, because Kyler's definitely done for the season.
Correct.
I want to say Broncos just because the defense has been the steadiest thing for them all season. But without Russ, it looks even nastier.
Right.
To be in Denver. Yeah, I definitely won't be watching this game.
I'm gonna go watch Avatar instead.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah, better way to spend 3 hours probably. Yeah, I'll go Broncos, but
because of the Broncos defense, I'm gonna go Broncos, which have been at least decent at times. So yeah, I'll go with them. I don't think the Cardinals have much life anymore with Kyler out of there. So yes, weird stuff
Kyler
there.
In there, they didn't really have life. So
that's true. So it is what it is. And then to that point, 2 questions, one for each team. Kyler's injury will extend or end Kingsbury's time in Arizona.
I don't really think the injury should affect it. He should have been gone weeks ago. So regardless, they should fire him. I don't know if the injury does something.
I agree.
I hope it doesn't extend, because we've seen.
Yeah, this is not being an excuse to extend him. This is a great time to end it and rebuild and get that coach in there while Kyler is out to reestablish that team. And then when Kyler comes back, you can put him in as needed and get rolling again. So
it seems like him and Kyler haven't even been on the same page. So
I'm with you. Yeah, it's time to go there. for the Broncos, seeing how Russ has not been as hoped at all. Seeing now that he's now been injured, as you mentioned, do the Broncos need to draft a quarterback in the next draft?
That's nuts after signing the extension. I think first step would be firing Nathaniel Hackett and getting a different play caller in there to see what
Okay.
you have truly with Russ, because you saw flashes last week against the Chiefs. Defense that's not so good, but we hadn't seen Russ throw 3 touchdowns in over a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that he still has some good QB play in him. Maybe with better play calling, you get better results with him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, my that would be my first thing, because you just committed so much money to this man. You traded for him and then extended him before he even played it down. So I feel like you got to give like at least 1 more year under more competent coaching,
Uh-huh.
and then go for Caleb Williams in that next draft or something. But
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. I wasn't even trying to say that. I was just trying to say a viable backup, not even a starter, but just do they draft a
viable
quarterback with
backup.
one of their 5 picks or whatever? Seeing how their backups are, as you mentioned, are week 2. I
Yeah.
think they have to have somebody to as a for sure backup and to potentially groom to be their replacement. I'd say they should get one. So we'll see how that goes. Also, Hackett came from the Packers, and we saw with the Packers, they had an MVP quarterback on their squad, and they still went and drafted Jordan Love. So he's been in that spot before where they've had
Questionable decision, but
backup. Questionable, but he's been there before in a way. So I say they should for sure grab one. Maybe not early on, but in that 4th or 5th round, go ahead and grab somebody to stash just in case.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah, find you a Purdy some kind of way, just in case.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. Moving on, Patriots at Raiders. Who you got there?
We still got a lot of games. I guess there was like a bunch of bye weeks last week.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there was.
Patriots at Raiders. I like the Pats here. The Raiders had been playing a little bit better, but I'm gonna stick with my picking against them every week. So
yeah, that's fine. I'm going Pats as well. Yeah. And then a couple of questions. First off, in the Pats Cardinals game, we saw the scary moment where a Parker got a concussion. It appeared, and they still tried to run plays. Nobody even realized it. Mac Jones trying to hurry up and run a play. I think Nelson Aguilar, whoever that was, I forgot who that was. It might be Aguilar. Saw that Parker was woozy and was trying to wave at Mac Jones like, "Hey, let's start the play," and all of that. So concussions have been an issue all year long. So top priority for the NFL this offseason should be updating their equipment. Yes or no?
It's hard to say if that should be top priority, because I feel
we joked about them putting the little the practice padded things on the helmets, things of that nature. Should there be a real discussion about changing the equipment this offseason? Because they've changed the rules a lot. It seems they've been more cognizant. They had an in-season adjustment after the Tua situation where they tried to be more aware of situations and be more protective of guys. They can only protect guys so much. The game still is the game. So within the lines, there has to be something else they could do within the lines to fix it. And the first thing, they haven't really had a major upgrade in technology in regards to equipment in some time now. It's been the same helmets for it seemed like the last decade at least. So should they finally try to make a real jump in the equipment this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how feasible that is. Obviously, like better technology, safer players, that seems intuitive, but I don't know how far they are progress-wise with that. But yeah, like you said, the nature of the game is it's a violent game, and your guys are taught the right technique, but you're not always like you're still seeing guys get head-to-head collisions, and especially on the line and stuff, like they're banging heads constantly. But yeah, I mean, it feels like it's part of the game, and they definitely have been stricter with protocol as far as when guys are showing signs of concussion. It's like they're ruled out immediately almost. And I don't think that's a bad thing to be overcautious about. So I'm happy about that. But it kind of seems unpreventable in a way when guys are like still taking shots like to the head. It's just like it's such a bang sport sometimes, and a guy's sliding in and guys going in to make the hit. It's like it's hard to kind of avoid at times. But yeah, I mean, if they can upgrade the equipment, definitely.
I think I'm sure they already have been looking into it, but if there's a way for them to really make that effort going forward, I think there has to be, because as I've already mentioned, even though they've kind of always been around, I feel like there's been a few more than recently than before this season. And big ones that we saw with Tua, and then with Parker, and there's a couple other guys that I saw that had some nasty concussions this season where they were just out cold. So if there's some other way to fix this beyond the rules, of course, I think they have to really try to make that happen this offseason. So we'll see. And then one more question for the Raiders. Who needs to leave first, McDaniels or CARR?
McDaniels. Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. Yeah. Same page there. Moving on. Titans at Chargers. Who you got there?
I'll go Titans. I feel like the Chargers needed a little bit more, but I'll go Titans. And I think that rushing defense has been iffy for the Chargers, and I think Derrick Henry is going to go off once again.
For fancy reasons, because I need to win this week. I hope you're right. But I'm going to go Chargers here. I think the Chargers, I think the Titans have a defense that can be taken advantage of as well. And I mean, with the Chargers getting their guys back finally, I think they can use Eckler a whole lot and then play action their way around and start getting the ball again to Allen and Mike Williams and all those guys on the outside and really dominate that squad. I don't think it's going to be a blowout in that regard, but I think they could at least be taken advantage of. So I'm going to go Chargers there. So good stuff in that one. I guess I'll ask this also real quick. The Chargers are back to being the Super Bowl threat. We hope they'd be. Yes or no?
Super Bowl threat? No.
Okay.
They still got to make the playoffs. So no.
Yeah. They look good though. So it's a no, but it's shifting. We're getting back to the yes. It's possible still. So we'll see. Next game, Bengals at BUCS. Who you got there?
Bengals. I don't really have to think about this one too much.
Yeah, Bengals as well. Then quick question: the Bengals are the BUCS are the most disappointing team in the league this season?
Most disappointing? Probably be between them and the Packers. As far as having those MVP level QBs, we thought, and then terrible, like losing critical pieces, like them losing Bruce Arians and the Packers losing Devontae Adams, and having similar disappointing seasons. I think them and then the Rams too, just coming off a Super Bowl.
Of course.
They're having one of the worst like Super Bowl hangover type years that any NFL team has had. So those three, I think, would be in the discussion for me.
Actually, the BUCS are because the BUCS were like a play away last season. They had to come back versus the Rams and almost got the victory there. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's it. And Tom Brady was going to retire. And then he changed his mind because it seemed like they had a great opportunity to run it back. And yes, Bruce Arians is out, but seeing who they have still in the building was pretty much all their same pieces. They seem like they were going to run it back and have another run. And they so far have not shown close to that at all. Yes, the Packers have been really bad as well, and we can point to Adams being out and things of that nature, and it's a big fall off. Yes, with the Rams, there's a big Super Bowl hangover with injuries that have played their part. Before the BUCS, it just seems like they just can't get on the same page at all. And it's just nasty. So with that being the case, I say, yeah, the BUCS are the most disappointing team there. So it is what it is.
I'll say too, the Broncos have to be up there too with only having
but as I told you, the preseason, I believe
you personally didn't have the expectations.
I had them low. I said they were going to be last in that division before the season even started.
Yeah, but most people, I don't even think you thought like Russ would be this bad. Like you were already down on him, but he's been like one of the worst in the league.
He's the NFL's trick y'all MVP. got y'all again. So it is what it is. So that's why I guess I had the name in mind, but compared to the BUCS, who had real Super Bowl hopes at least at one point, they have not played close to that. So yeah, that's why I lean that way. So that's a good one. And two more games. Sunday night, Giants at Commanders. Who you got there?
I got the Commanders.
Commanders as well. And then lastly, Monday night, Rams at Packers.
Could be an interesting one. I want to say the Packers, but Baker could make it interesting once again.
I'm gonna say because they're at home, I'm gonna go Packers as well. And I'm gonna ask a question. I'm actually gonna ask two. I want to go back to the Sunday night game. But first off, for this Monday night game, brighter future, Rams or the Packers?
I would definitely say the Packers because they have some young receivers that have popped off, and in Watson and Dobbs showed some flashes earlier. I think he's back this week too. So they have some young receivers. Still have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. And then you have Jordan Love, who's waiting in the wings to get that opportunity. But Rodgers isn't like fully done yet, I don't think. Like, I think he probably plays another year.
Right.
But even after Rodgers, like, you have Love, who you have some expectations for. So I think I would say the Packers there, because we've already seen flashes from their young guys for going into the future. And the Rams need to rebuild in a sense. So
long-term future, yes, I agree with that. But I guess I was more so, I guess when I thought of future, I was like, who can I see in the Super Bowl first of the two? And I guess the better chance still is for the Rams if they can just get healthy next year and retool a little bit with the pieces that are still there. I guess on the last hurrah type, because you have Donald
Baker in the Super Bowl. You see Baker in the Super Bowl before?
I don't think gets there, but again, find somebody else potentially. With Cooper Kupp still in the building, Allen Robinson finally showed flashes at one point. The offense can at least get back. And
I'm off Allen Robinson.
Huh?
I said I'm off Allen Robinson.
That's fine, but having Cooper Kupp there, I think if you have a quarterback there, they could figure out something at least. And again, it's going to be tough for them, but I think it's more long term for the Packers than it is for the Rams, who are much more in a win now situation. So that's what I meant by it. But for long term future, I'm fully with you there. So yeah, Packers still look like they have pieces for the long run. So kudos to them. And then going back to Sunday night, I want to ask this. Just in regards to the Giants and Saquon, who we're glad to see back in rotation, is Saquon still comeback player of the year this year?
No, I think it's Geno.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like there may be one other person I'm not thinking of, but I think it's got to be Geno. Just how he's played this year. He's played MVP caliber at the QB position. He's not going to win it just because a couple guys have been a little bit better, but.
Right.
Yeah, he's been consistently good. It hasn't been fluky. So yeah, I think and they're going to be in playoff contention, while I think the Giants are going to fall out. So yeah, I think it would have to be Geno. Saquon's had some rough weeks of late too, just efficiency wise on the ground.
Yeah,
and it's tough when they're loading up the box and they're game planning for you because you have no receivers, but. That's the nature of the game. So yeah, I think it's got to be Geno right now leading the way.
We had high hopes for Saquon, and he looked great early on in the season. We didn't have high hopes. We just hoped he bounced back because we both are.
And we were happy to see it. Yeah,
we're very happy to see that, and it seemed like he was on track to do so early on. He was top 2 running back in the league for a few weeks, and then they loaded the box, and now he's
still.
back to,
I think he's like 5th in rushing yards still, so he's still
solid because they have to feed him the ball because they don't have a whole lot on the outside, but. Yeah, in regards to the award, as you said, I think it goes to Geno this year, who's had an MVP type season this year. So
and he's had a ton of bars too. So
yeah, that too. This is wild, or whatever. I was gonna say last year was wild that they're on the same team for a moment. Now Geno has to leave to become who he has become. So it is what it is. But definitely salute to both of them for great bounce back years and. Looking forward to what's next with both of those guys there. So, that was the one thing I wanted to go back to. But after that, all is good. That's it for the quick picks there. We went kind of long asking questions and all of that, but thank you all for sticking around with us. That's it for NFL stuff this week. So, good stuff there. Anything else you want a quick note of, Alec?
No, we're good.
All right. So, that's it for the NFL stuff. We back, Justin, today's Thursday or Friday, by the time you guys see this. This weekend, we're going to have Matt back on, our Boston analyst, our Boston experts, come back on and talk some NBA things. We were going to do it earlier on, but wanted to make sure we could have Matt in for the discussion. The Celtics that looked great and wanted to hear his input on that. So we're definitely going to be talking about that, talking about the Lakers in their season, the Kings, as I've been talking about my Kings a little bit, excited for all of that, as well as they just announced recently that they have had some new awards for the NBA. Or not necessarily new awards, but they've added new names for awards. So we're going to discuss that, as well as making our own version of some awards as well, to make our picks on as the season's gotten underway, our kind of our first quarter of the season award picks. So excited for all of that. We'll see you guys again shortly for all of that. Getting to the swing of things with NFL and NBA. I'm excited for the new year, excited for the holidays, as you guys kind of see I have the tree in the back, the little one back there, big one outside. Excited for all the things going on right now. Good stuff here. Again, appreciate you guys for tuning back in to another episode. Follow us online everywhere. All the @s are below. You guys know who it is. It's your boy G and Alec. Another great episode in the books, man. Thank y'all. Again, shout out Dre Waves and all he's doing there. Good, cool dude, man. I'll salute to him. And yeah, we'll see you guys again shortly, man. Appreciate all the love. And we out of here. Peace.
Deuces.